Hello everybody, it's Leela from Miss Kiss Creations. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to show y'all how to create one of those black flame melting candles. I have seen these tumblers everywhere and I wanted to give it a shot, and of course I wanted to do my first one on camera with y'all. I'm going to go over the materials I'll be using, and they will also be linked in my description below, including some coupon codes and the direct links to the materials. I'm starting out with my 20-ounce stainless steel tumbler from Maker Flow Crafts. I use the color Diamonds for the glitter on this tumbler. This is one of my favorite colors from Glitter Heart Co. So be sure to put this in your cart and get this for this tumbler. I have a paper plate here. I might need this just in case I make a mess. I'll be using my hot glue gun I purchased from Michaels, and I'll be using my black hot glue. I did purchase this from Amazon. I will have that link in my description. I know they have these at Hobby Lobby, so if you do have one of those in the area, you can pick those up there. Let's get started with this tumbler. For all of my beginner crafters, if you do not know how to glitter a tumbler and completely seal it with epoxy, I will be posting my help tutorial in my description below to help y'all get to this step. So go back, go to this step, and then come back and return this video. I have my hot glue gun plugged in. I'm going to place my black glue inside of my gun, and I'm going to just make sure that black glue will come out since I already have that clear. So I'm just going to keep pumping until I start seeing black glue. I can already start seeing it, and now it is black. For my next step, I'm going to place the glue just on top. Keep in mind, this is my first time trying this, so I'm probably gonna have a little bit of errors, but we'll get through it together. So I'm just going to place some of this glue on the tumbler like so. And of course it is hot glue, so it gets stringy. And I'm guessing it should start running down. So I'm going to try to put like a glob of glue on there to see it run down. And if it doesn't, I'm sure you just use a hot glue gun, or I'm sorry, a heat gun, and just let it run down. So I'm just gonna place a big glob of that glue down the tumbler and let it kind of run down some. So this is equivalent to like a drip. The only thing that's different about this is that the hot glue dries a lot quicker than a drip. So let me try to get my heat gun on this. And that might do the trick. So I'm going to keep doing that. I like how that worked. So be prepared to use more than one glue stick because I've already almost used an entire glue stick. I changed the angle for y'all, so maybe it will help y'all see more. So I'm just pressing on a lot, and as I'm pressing on, I'm kind of taking it and I'm kind of pushing it down. So I'm pulling that glue down like so. And then I'm going to do the same for this. Kind of pull that trigger, squeeze the trigger, and just let it kind of fall. And don't really overthink this step, because if y'all have seen these, it's a lot of layers. So this is just going to be my first layer. And we are going to add that heat on here. And then I'm going to set it right up, and then it's going to drip just a little bit more. So it's really hard to show y'all how I do this with the camera angle, because if I let it sit back, it's not going to drip. See, I let it sit on its side kind of, and it kind of dripped to the left and not down. So I'm sorry for that, but I hope I explained it to y'all. Once again, just add a lot on top and let that drip kind of fall down. So I'm pulling that trigger, or I'm pressing that heat gun trigger, and then I'm just going to do the same right next to it and kind of make that little drip area. You can see, since that was sitting right side up, it looks a lot better. So I'm going to finish this entire part of the one layer, and then I'll return with the next layer. my drip is finished, and guys, she needs some help. But I still have some confidence in me that I'm going to create this and it's gonna look beautiful. I have done so many tumblers that look kind of jacked up and then I just fix them. So, and you have probably done the same. I did notice that whenever my hands got a little shaky or towards the end of the hot glue, it shows how badly your hands are shaking. So just like this up here, this is a nice smooth drip. So I'm going to try to make these drips a little thicker, maybe try to overlap them more and have them run down the tumbler just a little bit more because this is a taller tumbler and I want those drips to go down more. Okay, let's try this. So I will start by placing it at the top here, and I'm kind of just filling in these little spaces that looks kind of awkward, or I should say bare. And I'm just taking my glue gun and letting it go down, and I'm almost done with this stick. So I'm going to stop right there. And I let the stringiness just be stringy, and once it gets dry, if it does stick on the tumbler, it just wipes right off. So this is my new drip. That's what I like. So practice makes kind of perfect. So keep doing this. Don't give up like myself. Even if it does look kind of helpless like mine, keep adding those drips and then you'll be able to make a thicker drip. So I'm liking where this is going. So you see, if you want to make more like bigger drips, just do what I did. Start there at the top and kind of connect your new drip to like an old drip and then kind of bring it up like that. So that's one new drip there, and I want it to go a little bit down more and then back up. So that's what I personally like. I like the bigger drips instead of those stringy drips. And then I like to add that heat to make it one big drip. But don't go crazy with the heat. Don't overanalyze it, because at the end of the day, this is a candle and candles aren't perfect. So you could see the thicker part where I did my second layer, and you could see that first part where I kind of made some boo-boos and it's still not there yet. So I will continue to do this. I'm going to fast forward through this part. I'm going to keep it on screen so you could still see I'm connecting these drips together, and then we'll see how that looks from there. Okay, so it is coming along just fine. Everything is fine. I am starting to really like this candle. What I will be doing next is adding another layer. So I'm going to make sure that all of this hot glue is dry. I have put some heat on this, so I will let this sit for about 2 minutes. Make sure that all this hot glue is completely dry. It's still a little sticky, and then I'll return to try to put another layer on this tumbler. All right, let's start adding that second layer. I'm kind of scared to do this part, I'm not going to lie, but we'll see what happens. So I'm going to find just a random spot. I still want to try to do this and still get this in the camera, and kind of just overlap that first part. So if I end up not liking this, or I just can't get the hang of it, then it's just not going to happen, and I'm just going to leave it like this. Sometimes I'm not able to do creative stuff like others, and I'm perfectly fine with that because I still created something really cute. So right now it looks like I'm just blending like I was doing before. So let me try on this area where there's already a good drip, and kind of have that drip over. I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying not to make my top very bulky. I'm trying to avoid the big bulky top and then really skinny at the bottom. But I don't know if I'm doing a good job at that, to be honest with you. So we'll see how that works. So I added one, and then I'm going to add another one right here, right next to that other one that I kind of added before. Okay, my hot glue is running out again. Just finish that right up. Oops. And you can kind of see that that's 2 layers. I don't know if the camera's picking it up that well, but there are 2 layers on there. I'm not going to get carried away with that, only because I probably don't want to overdo it. I'm liking how this candle looks just like this. And sometimes, even though the quote unquote style is to do the double layer, if it looks cute the way it is, then sometimes I don't want to touch it because I don't want to ruin it. So I'm going to add a little bit more to this, and then we'll move on with that next step. Okay, so I think that my candle drip is completely finished. Let me know how you liked this. Let me know if I did too much drip or not enough drip. I know that a lot of people like to put their drip a lot lower down on their tumbler, but I have never been a fan of that. I always like to keep it tighter on the tumbler. So if you do want your drip to go down more, so be it, and make your tumbler the way that you want to make it, like I always say. I'm going to move on with the next step by adding a water slide to this tumbler. Here's the water slide that I found on Etsy. I'll be posting the Etsy shop where I purchased this water slide from. The one that I purchased was actually white lettering with black background, but I just edited it in Cricut Design Space and I flipped it. So the one that I do link in the description is not going to be identical to that. You have to actually edit it. But if you go on Etsy and you search for Black Flame Company or Black Flame Company SVG, you're going to see these files, so pick whichever one you would like to use. All right, so I have my craft towel down. I have my water slide. I just want to let y'all know that this is what I have been using to seal my water slides. I spray about 2 to 3 generous coats of this on my water slides, and then I just let them sit for about 20 minutes. A good way to know if your water slide is sealed is this black rim right here. I stick my finger in my water and I just wet that black rim. If it starts to fade or run, you know your water slide isn't sealed. If it stays the way it is, then you know that it's sealed and you're ready to start adding your water slide to your tumbler. I place my water slide in a room temp water. I honestly just add cold and hot water and from my sink, and I just add a bowl of water and I place my water slide in there. It's going to start to curl up immediately. That is okay, just let it curl. As it's in there soaking, I wet my tumbler some just to give it some kind of like, so it can slip better, so it's not so it won't stick directly to the tumbler when I place the water slide on the tumbler. I found a good spot where I would like my decal, and I'm just going to pick my decal up and kind of pinch it to see if it starts sliding, and it does. So that's when I put my water to the side, place my decal on my tumbler, and kind of pinch that water slide. It looks like it's going to be a little bit more stubborn, so I'm just going to set it right back in that water and let it soak some so that backing can kind of detach from the water slide. And if you don't have water slide paper, if you have clear vinyl or white vinyl or white water slide paper, then you can also use that. I just wanted this to have the glitter pop in the background instead of having that yellow label on there. The yellow label looks cute and it does look Halloween-y, but I wanted that glitter popping. Y'all know I like a little bit of sparkle, so why not add this water slide to have that glitter in the background. I believe my water slide is good to go, so we're going to place it right back on there, and you can see how easily that water slide slid off the tumbler or off the backing. And I am taking that backing and I just slide it down that tumbler. I'm not really worried about where my water slide is placed right now. I'm more worried about placing that water slide on the tumbler without ripping it or without creating any major bubbles. Now that it's on the tumbler, that's whenever I kind of place my tumbler right side up, and I'm just making sure that that water slide is as even as I can get it, and I'm pretty sure that it is even. So for the next step, I take my craft towel and I blot around my tumbler, not blotting the water slide. I'm just blotting around the water slide just to remove any of that excess water. Once the excess water is removed, I take a regular paper towel. This isn't like lint-free or anything, and I blot more around. And now I am blotting more towards that water slide. So I am going to blot on top of this water slide. I am going to dry this completely. I want this completely dried. I do not let my water slide sit for a long time. I try to get most of the moisture out whenever I place it on the tumbler. As I'm doing this, I'm looking for little areas around this decal of any bubbles or anything. So it's really easy to see if you just kind of put it eye level towards you and you just take a look at it, and there's no wrinkles in this as of now, and there's no bubbles, which is great. If there were bubbles or wrinkles, all I do is I take my paper towel and I start where the bubble is, and I kind of iron it out towards the outside of that decal. So I don't really rub it, I just kind of place it on and I just spread it down, and that allows that water or that bubble to escape from underneath that decal, exiting, and then it has a nice flat surface. Once the water slide has been placed, I'm taking that same napkin and I am finding a dry spot on the napkin and I'm combing that water slide. This is the same technique that I just explained to y'all. This is basically just getting any of that excess moisture from underneath the water slide that you may have missed before. I'm not pressing down too hard on this. I'm just lightly spreading that water or that paper towel over that decal, and you can feel that it is completely dry once you do this step. So what I do from here is I let my decal completely dry. I do not want to have a chance of having any water still wet underneath this decal, just in case there is. I let it dry for about 20 to 30 minutes. After I let it dry for 20 to 30 minutes, I go ahead and I add my final coat of epoxy to this tumbler. So I will see y'all in about 20 to 30 minutes. I mix a total of 30 milliliters of epoxy off screen. That's 15 milliliters part B and 15 milliliters part A, totaling 30 milliliters of epoxy. I will be adding the epoxy to the tumbler like I would any other tumbler. I'm going to start towards the bottom, seal in that decal, and then go towards the top to seal in that hot glue. So I'm going to start by just adding the epoxy on top like I would a drip. This is kind of a different consistency since it is hot glue, but I'm just kind of painting it on with my finger as best as I can. I'm making sure that I get in those little nooks and crannies between those drips. If you do have an epoxy brush or like one of those silicone brushes and you want to stick that in between those drips, that might be a good option as well, just to get in between that so the epoxy is on the tumbler and is sealed properly. Make sure that you're not having this epoxy just sit on top of this drip. You don't want a pool of epoxy sitting on the tumbler. You kind of just want it to be sealed. So I'm kind of putting a lot of epoxy on there and then I'm wiping it off so it's not kind of sitting down and it's not pooling on that drip. So I do have a lot of epoxy left over, so I probably used about 20 milliliters of epoxy. I'm still adding it to the tumbler. I'd rather have too much epoxy on here to seal in the drip than not enough. I will say that hot glue underneath epoxy makes it look really real. It actually makes it look better. I know a lot of times whenever you add that epoxy to some toppers or drips, it kind of starts making it look artificial, but I really like how this looks whenever it's sealed under epoxy. I'm going to let my tumbler spin on the cup turner for about 4 to 6 hours. After 4 to 6 hours, I'm going to turn off my cup turner and let my tumbler air dry or air cure for another 18 to 20 hours. I want a total drying time of 24 hours for this tumbler. When it is finished drying for 24 hours, I will start the camera again and I'll see y'all then with the final product. Welcome back everybody. My tumbler epoxy is completely cured on the tumbler and it looks amazing. Do you see the difference of the drip now that it has been epoxied? I absolutely love this. The only thing I have left is to clean up the inside and the rim of the tumbler. I will be posting a help tutorial for all my beginners in my description below on how to clean the inside of your tumbler. Here is my tumbler completely cleaned up with the lid on top. This tumbler was super easy, so let me know your thoughts on how it came out. I hope you've enjoyed this video as much as I've enjoyed creating it for y'all. And if you did enjoy it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more tumbler and craft videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.